to your point,
yeah, I was like, that didn't age well at all. I mean, didn't even age 3 hours.
Yeah. And to your point, Nick Viall is not that person. He pushes back on everyone. And maybe it didn't, because I think it's not like we haven't, well, it's not like we haven't seen that side of James. And I don't know if like that's what Michael Rappaport was saying, was like, we've seen this side. We've seen this side of him. Because we have.
The excitement he had for James behaving like that was really odd to me.
Yeah. Welcome back to Bonded by Bravo. I'm your host, Amy, joined with my friend, Jenna. What's up, Dom Jen?
What's up? You know what I was thinking? We haven't done like a... We used to, like in the beginning, we used to be like, at the very least, we'd be like, how was your weekend? Now it's just like, we just get right into it. So I'm going to ask you, how was your weekend, month, the holidays?
Oh my God. I honestly had such a fun weekend.
Oh, good.
I'm glad I asked. I know. I wore a fur coat out on, remember last year when I got the fur coat? I think I even took a video of me wearing it on here, or maybe that was just separate, but wore the fur coat out. And I have a good friend in New York who is leaving New York to go travel for a year, her and her husband, Lucky B. And so we did this dinner at this really cool place in the East Village. It's an Indian restaurant and there's all these lights and you're like, it's just for the experience. It's BYO. And then we went to this bar, which I probably was the oldest person there. And let me just tell you, your girl still got it.
Oh my God, tell me.
So I'm sitting there talking to my two friends.
This is exciting. I love this.
And this kid, I'm going to call him a kid because he was 25.
What was the bar? Can we call out the bar or no?
Yeah, sure. It was Phoebe's in the Bowery-ish, like a block away from Bowery Hotel.
Okay.
But it's a young bar, but it was close to where we were for dinner. And I'm standing by the door because we're getting ready to leave and I have my fur coat on.
As one does.
As one does. And my hoops and my slick back. And how I feel.
Yeah.
Somebody, my one friend said, you look like Luigi Mangione's mistress.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed. A girl can dream.
And I was like, oh my God. So, so I'm standing by, I'm finishing my drink, and this boy taps me on the shoulder and goes, waves goodbye as he's leaving. I was like, me? So, me? Oh, me? Oh my God.
It's not a shoulder tap.
Not a shoulder tap. Like, do I follow you? What do I do? I don't know.
Follow you. Where are we going?
Yeah, where are we going? Grab my hand. So that just made my night. So then I was like, I got hit on. I'm ready to go home. I'm just kidding. I stayed out till 3 a.m., which is just so excessive. And then had a friend do a cookie party on Saturday.
So many cookie parties. You're like the fourth person that's mentioned a cookie party. I haven't been invited to one ever in my lifetime.
Really? Oh my God. My sister used to throw them. And then I haven't really done like holiday parties in New York. But it was my friend's cousin who lives around the corner. And she had this gorgeous tablescape of like brown paper bag paper. And then you brought your cookies and you named them, and then everybody just like ate the cookies.
I would imagine that's what's happening there.
Yeah. And she had like candle. It was just, but I am not a baker. So I, again, texted my sister and was like, what do I do? And she's like, get Toll House, the tube, throw some M&Ms on there and some pretzels and call it a family recipe. That's what I did.
I do a lot of baking this time of year, actually.
You bake?
Yeah, I do. Oh, I'm very domestic.
But wait, what are you baking?
Depends on my mood. I recently did. I've done so much this season.
What?
Wait, hold on. Blueberry muffins were such a hit. The only thing with bacon is you're watching what you're putting into it.
Yes.
And then you're eating it and you're like, well, I can't eat this. So I just give it all away. I just am like, I knock on my neighbor's door and I'm like, here you go. It's just like, I like having something to do in the house, and I love to be in the house.
Oh, that's so I had no idea.
New York Times cooking got me so hooked to being in the kitchen.
Really? Wow.
Since the pandemic, yeah. I just love New York Times cooking.
You also have a good kitchen, I feel. Sometimes I feel like
that would be
if I had a better. No, I just don't like. I like cooking when I don't have to cook for something, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, how was your weekend?
It was fun. I worked all weekend.
Yeah. And then I had rehearsal yesterday, and I'll what's it called? Plug my show when we get closer to it.
Nice.
Not that anyone.
Well, you never know. I wonder if people have shown up. Yeah.
Yeah, right. This one it's a comedy again, but you know what else I did last week? I saw it actually closed last night, but Big Gay Jamboree, which you're gonna like this. The writer of Titanic wrote and starred in Big Gay Jamboree. And it just closed last week, but maybe they'll do another tour of it somewhere, somehow. Marla Mandel, she's actually from Bucks County. If you get a chance to see Titanic or any of her work, it's incredible. The one song was I Want to Be a Real Housewife, and then the punch was except for Dubai.
Oh my God, I kind of love.
It was so good, and there were just pictures of all of the housewives up in the back while they were in like a hair salon scene. But it was a really great show.
I will say, when I was working, I think this was Thursday night, I had these. It was like pretty chill, and I had these two guys at the end of the bar that were like getting a little rowdy, but like they weren't annoying me in any way. I also had like 2 GABAs that day and a whole gummy, so I was like, "Do what you got to do down there."
Live your
best
life.
And then finally,
2 GABAs.
I love it. I actually
and a gummy.
Yeah,
Jesus.
My anxiety has been next level. It hasn't calmed down in like 2 months. I gotta get that sorted, but whatever. So I'm like listening to these guys, and finally, like after a while, I was like, something is so familiar about these guys. Like, I don't think I was like, you guys come in here, like, what is going on? And the one guy was like, yeah, I've been in a few times, but like not that often. And I was like, where are you from? And they were like, oh, like Bucks County area, like Pennsylvania, Philly area. And I was like, okay, we figured it out. Like, I was like, there's definitely like an energy that I
like a cadence to their voice.
It's just, there was just something about them. It was like, there's just so not like, I don't know I can't put my finger on it, but I feel like people from that part, like they're just like never awkward. Like they're very just like, what's up? Like down to earth, like easy to chop it up with.
That has to be so much harder for you, because you probably don't get a lot of that ever. Like I'll get little pieces of it here and there, you know, like I'll meet a Philly person or Philly adjacent person, but being so far away, like that has to be.
Yeah. I mean, luckily during the season, we have like the football games at North Star. So that's always like really nice. And there's this one kid that he's like a friend of a friend. And so whatever, we watch the games together. And I was like, what's his name again? And like, I don't even think I knew his name, but she told me, I like knew it in my head. And the girl, my friend was like, oh, his name's Joey. And I was like, yes, what else would his name be? Like, he was like kind of shorter, like olive skin, really dark hair. I was just like,
Joey, Jimmy, or Johnny.
I was going to say it could pass as a Tony maybe, but like it had to be Joey. It just had to be Joey.
Did I ever tell you I played that game in the bar one time? It was an Eagles playoff game, and I had my Eagles hat on, and I just went to the bar to like hang out and catch up with my friend. And this guy was like, yeah, great game. And I was like, oh yeah, where are you from in Philly? He's like, I'm from Jersey. And so like, obviously I start busting balls.
Giving him shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, what's your name? Jimmy, Johnny, or Joey? And he's like, you bitch, it's Jimmy. And I was like, told ya.
Yeah. So predictable. There was 5 names for like the longest time.
Yeah. Michael and Anthony, obviously we can just throw them in there.
Yes. Should we do this?
We should do this. I'm
glad we caught up though.
Me too. Telling everyone about our escapades. There's a lot.
There is a lot. VPR keeps casually making this outline, even when they're off season. But I see that you had added the Jay-Z victim.
I don't want to talk about Diddy this week.
Me either.
It's getting...
It's too grim and dark and scary.
Yeah. I'm going to pause for it until they're going to name people and say the things. Like, yeah. But VPR is, there's shit happening.
So I did the outline last night, and it just had like the James Kennedy stuff on there. Sandoval just being his own lawyer, and then Jax, I guess, is back in rehab, and then Joe went on live or whatever. But then I wake up, the first thing I open on Instagram, it is just like something about Tom Sandoval and his girlfriend, and it seems like she's alleging that he cheated on her with her best friend.
Yep. And then she came out 1 hour ago, and I'll tell you what she said.
I was in class, so I missed this. I still haven't even checked my phone.
I'll tell you what she said. She came out an hour ago.
Okay.
Because he went on his live and was like, Victoria made
a mistake or something.
And she came on and said, I'd like to sincerely, this was an hour ago. I'd like to sincerely apologize for my previous post. I had a true misjudgment in a situation. Tom did not do anything. From my personal trauma and experience, hearing false accusations about him all the time clouded my judgment and got the best of me. Please respect him and know he's actually been the most supportive partner. The internet can be harsh sometimes in learning how to block out the noise. And I'm learning how to block out the noise. This is just giving so
toxic relationship
and messy vibes. And like
drama. I bet behind the scenes they do a lot of the flip-flopping.
All the time, like make up and break up every other week.
I think that their highs are really high and their lows are really low.
The amount of like blocking that you've seen them do of each other on social media and it's just like, and he's in his 40s. Come on.
I don't know if I feel for, but imagine being close friends with this couple. Like, I would think most of their friends would have to create some distance. Like, but I can't be around this. This is a lot.
But I imagine the reason I'm making this face is because, like, I imagine none of those, they're all probably 23-year-olds like her.
Oh, you think like most of the friends are her friends, not his?
Who?
His friends are not. Yeah, who?
Like to me, it's just like a bunch of 23-year-old club rats who they're going out in bars and stuff in Hollywood, and everyone's getting drunk. And this is the couple that every time they get drunk together, they're breaking up. But that's how I foresee it. To your point, yes, the probably friends are distancing, but it's like to me, this is just such.
Yeah,
I'm more embarrassed for him. I mean, actually, I don't really give a shit at this point. He's embarrassing himself. No, he should be embarrassed.
That was cute for like a moment.
I didn't even mean it. I didn't even mean it. This will be like barely. This will be we've seen this, I think, happen a few months ago. We're going to see this happen 10,000 more times.
I can't wait until people stop reporting and reposting it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But it'll be like nice. I really need them to just go away. Away.
Yeah, it's happening though. I feel like it is happening. Yeah. Bigger story. Oh, the bigger story was after James Kennedy, after Kathy Hilton's holiday party, DirecTV holiday party. Apparently cops were called to their house. Did you see that in the police report? It said female reported that male picked her up and slammed her to the ground. And this happened by her boyfriend. So if we're putting 2 and 2 together, that's Allie talking about James. Some people have reported to Bravo and Cocktails and other places that shows are getting canceled. He might lose his gig with Pauly D.
I think he already did. Did I not? They're just speculation of it, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, for us, I don't think this is that new of news. Kristen came out and said, finally, when we heard all of this at the reunion last year, when Sandoval threatened James and said, like, I know about you. And he's like, what do you know about me? This has been insinuated a lot. Kristen wrote in her book. There's been a lot of...
Rachel has talked about it.
And she came out with a statement about it. I think we all know that James is an addict, and it seems like he wasn't sober that night. And not even to blame that.
It makes me really wonder, how has Bravo been able to hide this for this long? Like, and how much do they know? Because
did you see that blind on
Bravo?
Did you see that blind on Bravo and Cocktails that said there was an incident between him and Kristen that was caught on camera, and Bravo
Sheena's wedding?
Yeah. And Bravo, no, where James got hit Kristen.
But they only cut it, or I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
But,
I guess.
And they were saying that because Lisa was his defender, that's how it's been able to get past Bravo.
Yeah.
All these men being...
that blind. Okay. So the blind said basically that it was edited. So it's that scene, it's that scene that we all know if you've watched Vanderpump Rules, where it's Kristen hitting James. Yeah. But it was in self-defense, is basically what the blind is saying. And that Bravo cut cut the scene, edited the scene to make it look like Kristen was the aggressor.
Wow. And she had to eat that for all these years.
And she's been saying it. And, like, I think even when we were getting on the James train post Sandoval,
we were cautious. Yeah.
We were definitely trepidatious. And then as time went on, we saw him with Allie. And so we could continue to put down our guard a little bit more, and then it was like he had us all, and bam.
And he talked about his sobriety a lot with Allie.
Yes.
And I think, anybody who's been in similar situations can, I think you can justify if it's done. Like,
it's not him, it's the alcohol or whatever. It's like he becomes on. The thing that I really didn't. Okay, so I actually haven't listened to the whole episode because I was really so disgusted with the one clip I saw. But it's Nick Viall has Michael Rappaport on his podcast, and they must have recorded before the morning after Kathy Hilton's Christmas party, before any of the headlines broke about James. So they're talking about, I was never mad at Michael Rappaport before. Like when he would come on Watch What Happens Live, I was like, oh, he's a super fan who's also this kind of guy that you wouldn't expect. It's like sports and Bravo for him. And I just found that sort of fascinating. So never really had beef with him, but they're talking in the clip, and they're talking about James actually the night before, and how they saw him go up to his friend. I think it was Nick was saying he introduced this guy as his best friend, and then minutes later James comes up aggressive and shoves it, here, hold this, hold his drink, basically treating him like his little bitch. And Michael Rappaport was like, oh, I love that, that's so James, I love that that's just who he is. And then I was really disappointed in Nick Viall for not usually Nick Viall is one to say what he wants to say and does not back down because of someone else's influence within the room. And he was like, yeah, it was great, but I felt, and I could be mistaken, I felt like Nick did not think that, and I think he was saying it derogatory about James. But then Michael Rappaport's positive response then had Nick Viall responding. It was so easy. And
it's so weird too.
Influenced, and I just was like, wait, no, this isn't such bad taste. And then we
to your point.
Out, yeah. I was like, that didn't age well at all. I mean, didn't even age 3 hours.
Yeah. And to your point, Nick Viall is not that person. He pushes back on everyone. And maybe it didn't, because I think it's not like we haven't, well, it's not like we haven't seen that side of James. And I don't know if like, that's what Michael Rappaport was saying, was like, we've seen this side. We've seen this side of him. Because the
excitement he had for James behaving like that was really odd to me.
Yeah. They're talking that there's going to be obviously a rehab announcement to try to save his image a bit and try to save.
He was doing it kind of on his own, right?
Yeah, but it's very apparent that he hasn't been sober. I think a lot of people have come out and said that like he hasn't been sober. So, I mean, I'm just thinking of Allie and hoping that she's okay. And that
what I really don't like is people coming for Allie or saying like, you better like let her
immediately.
Let her live her life and she'll figure out whatever path she needs to be on. You know?
Yeah, she's very young, and from like women to women, we should all be supporting each other, especially in situations like this. So, we'll be thinking about Allie and kind of see how this unfolds. What else are we talking about? Beverly
Southern Charm has like the most. Beverly Hills, a little Salt Lake City, and actually there were some notes about RHONY. Yeah, where do you want to start?
I guess we start at Southern Charm because we like it so much.
We do like it so much. I think it's great. JT's so weird, but we'll get there.
He is so weird.
Okay, so the like opening scene, it's not like it's a ton there, but I just have to ask, was Austin using a self-tanner?
Always. But he always does. Oh. Wait, do you mean in his confessional?
No, like he was scrubbing it looked like he was using one of those self-tanning mitts, like on screen. I was like, is he okay?
Immediate ick. Oh, I would just assume they would get
not hating Austin yet this season, which is a little weird.
I know, it's annoying because if I was going to get fooled in a bar by someone, I think it would be out of like Shep or Austin. It would definitely be Austin over Shep.
100%. Shep is too condescending to women.
Yeah.
Whereas Austin's issue is, I think he just loves them so much that he doesn't know how to stay with one.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
He would love me in my fur coat. No, I'm kidding. That's possible he is using. I'll have to go back and rewatch that.
Okay, so we also have talk about an ick. Shep, there was something about when Shep was FaceTiming. Did you feel this at all? Like, did you get any kind of weird feeling?
Yes, she does not like him.
Okay, but there was something about their FaceTime that felt very like
forced.
I could be your uncle vibe.
Ew,
like,
ew.
I don't know what it was specifically. I watched the scene and rewound it. I was like, what is happening that I'm getting so grossed out by? But I was like, this is just getting really creepy, and like seeing him thirsty, I think maybe is what it is.
It's not cute.
It's not a good look. Thirst
and
is
she's
not
like,
a good look on anyone, but especially a nearly 50-year-old man with the 26-year-old model from the Bahamas.
And she was not giving him the
she was like, let me check my schedule.
Yeah. like she's looking at this as like a potential, like, buy me some purses and fly me out somewhere.
Yeah.
He's like, you want to come to my...
Let me attend Watch What Happens Live with you. Like, who knows? Maybe she's a Bravo.
Get some followers and move on.
Yeah.
I think
she actually might be a fan. There's someone that Madison's talking about in a preview that says she's like a super fan of the show. And I was
this is gonna be good.
But I don't know if it's about her. They don't like in the clip, we don't know who it's about.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, but
yeah.
It was weird, but I really did hate the way Shep was talking about Taylor in his confessional.
Well, Taylor came out last week. She must have got like the first few minutes of this. She came out last week and was like, none of this is true. He's so cocky and arrogant that he actually thinks that she likes him. Like, she seems so moved on. My favorite scene that we didn't even talk about was from the Madison's party at whatever derby that was, where Shep is trying to have, I mean, we did talk about it. Shep's like trying to have a conversation and she's like, okay. She has like clearly moved on and does not give a shit about him. And I know,
and not only has she moved on, but she's with someone who is, and I'm not saying age is everything. I'm just speaking from like age appropriate and in the same phase of their life
and wants the things she wants
and is frankly a lot better looking.
Way.
I am a little confused. Different. I like Taylor. I know a lot of people don't, and they prefer Olivia. I will say I don't really understand why Taylor's on this show. I think that they could have transitioned her, and maybe this season they will transition her into Southern Hospitality because she's actually good friends with those guys. Like, or TJ, who's one of the bartenders, is one of her best friends, and that's how she met Gaston. Like, she actually
it's his roommate.
Yeah, like they actually hangs out with them. And I was thinking about her with this cast. She's actually not friends with any one of them. She's not cool with Madison, not Anita, not Craig, do you not know Austin, not Shep. So like,
but if we're getting into that, I don't understand why Vanita's on my screen.
This will be the last.
She is whatever she's doing in this, like her and JT thing that they're trying to create, whatever that scene was where she didn't have a voice. I just was like, edit this out. No, no one cares. Literally no one cares. Yeah, that's interesting about Taylor.
That JT's just like, or that she's just going over to his new place. Like, I don't know that
none of it feels real.
Yeah.
You know, when we talk about,
who do you think concocted this storyline for them? Themselves?
JT.
Okay, so that's not like any producer. Like, these two were on their own.
Of course. They're like, how could, actually, you know what? I shouldn't even say JT. It seems like they're both at a point where they needed a storyline, and this is what they came up with. Ew, that makes me
an ally.
Yeah. Well. I don't like Vanita. She irks me, and we all know she's there. JT is just such a little troublemaking runt. Like, he's such a runt.
JT. He is a runt. I was texting my friend about him the other day, and we were just like, I was just like, he's like, oh, just like this messy little goober. Like, he's so
like
messy.
A troll.
Okay, so when they fucking JT, I don't like. Thank God he had that one scene with his sister and mom, because it's the only scene where you're like, okay, you're a human. Like, I don't want to like,
but
totally
still, even
but
even that scene with his mom and his sister, they're like, why would you give an elderly woman a cane, you moron?
Like, his mom immediately was like, wait, you did what?
It was. So then they go to Goff.
Yeah, let's talk about this Goff scene, because I truly appreciated Craig and Shep's real-time response, as opposed to doing that thing where they wait and like they don't say anything at the time and then it's in their confessional.
And
it was
also
in real time, and I was like, yeah, this is weird.
And to your point, like, they didn't play the, let's produce this scene game. Like, Craig was like, this. Okay, so basically they're all playing golf in a simulator. This episode featured so many things that were my favorites. And they're all playing golf, and JT's trying to get back in with the guys. And what an odd way to try to get back into the guys, by saying, do you remember the time when we were in the Bahamas? Was that where they were? Jamaica, when Madison wore my outfit. Her husband, Brett, the gorgeously handsome man,
firefighter,
asked if I was having an affair with Madison. Craig was like, no one thinks that. Literally no one thinks that. And he's like sitting there, and Shep's like, what are you like? is this serious? No one thinks that Matt, like, they said it in the nicest way possible that Madison wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole. They said it so nicely.
Yeah, as you would say, his Delulu was showing.
His Delulu was showing
everywhere. It was raining delusion in that golf simulator room.
And this is where I think we're going to, because to me, he was trying to produce this scene. He's trying to get his storyline going, but there's just ways to do it that aren't so obvious.
As insane as that one was, like, okay, Matt, I'm sorry, little man. And Madison is an 11 out of 10. She's just not interested.
I'm sorry, little man.
It's just not happening. But the polka dot connection.
Oh,
and like when they flash back,
I forgot about that.
Like it was on the invitation or whatever. And like, I haven't seen the invite, but I was like, wow, we're really grasping at straws.
And I feel like production was probably like, yeah, keep it going.
How did these thoughts even happen in his brain? Like,
he's bored. I think he's bored. Like, get a life.
It was so unhinged. And then going on about, like, why is he so fixated on Austin and his relationships, and then wants to be like, you guys aren't holding him accountable, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, maybe Austin and his girlfriend weren't official then. Like, I can't believe JT is putting me in such a bad position that I have to stand up for Austin.
I mean,
I resent him for this.
If anything, JT has come in to give like Shep and Austin a little bit of a redemption.
Honestly, they should be sending edible arrangements to JT. Because his unhinged behavior is making everyone else look tame.
Yeah, and it's also, but you know what it is? Do you know what it is? This is what Austin and Shep were really doing unhinged, like, stupid guy things. JT, it's giving me like he's trying to create gossip, and he's trying to be like, oh, I'm trying to be the pot stirrer, and like,
it's like he took notes from early seasons of Craig Conover.
Oh, because interesting.
This was Craig, honestly, but because we're so,
I know,
it's like we have
interesting
dementia or something. Like, we forget kind of how messy Craig really was.
So messy. And when they did that flashback of all of his lies, that was minimal. That was minimal, because that lawyer stuff where he told everybody he was a lawyer, that was wild at the time.
He couldn't even keep track of that lie.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? That stuff was genuinely happening. Craig.
That's what I think. Yeah. Some of the differences. And on top of that, these people have evolved from that. I mean, at least like Craig. Yeah. Like Craig has also, reality TV's been on longer. So that same sort of like, yes, I guess, I guess maybe, I don't know if this is what you were going to say, but like Craig doing it felt oddly natural.
No, because it was. And now it seems like JT's just coming in here and trying to play the villain from what he's studied on TV. Yeah. And nobody's believing him. Like, no one believes that
he studied. He watched those early seasons of Southern Charm, sat there with a notebook, took notes, and was like, I know how to do this. And I might have believed him up until the polka dots. The polka dots was. The polka dots was like, you're forcing they were secretly this together. I can't, because they both wore polka dots. I can't. What if they both had black on? Right. Like, other people there had similar, like, oh, he's an idiot. Okay. Then we go to, where are we? Oh, Madison and her husband. Well, I guess we have to talk about thyroid cancer. Because... Yeah, I wanted to ask you about how did you feel watching that scene, and did you have any of those complications that he's talking about with that marble after? No. And thank you, baby Jesus. It also sounds like, so it's actually funny. I went back because Madison's husband had thyroid cancer, had a 3-centimeter nodule taken off of his throat. It was funny because I was looking for his scar. What did you have? My nodule was only 1 centimeter. Okay. Which is crazy when you think that it was,
triple the size of mine. So, and I don't know if he had his whole thyroid taken out or part of it. I also don't know what the complications are, because thyroid cancer, out of all of the cancers, is super curable, super easy to treat. It's less common in men though. So, because I think I was a little taken back by her reaction.
Like how
yeah,
seriously she was taking.
Yeah, and I also shouldn't, because I don't know all of the details. I also have
also so not in our nature, like
right.
you and I specifically, to take things so seriously, like these kinds of things so seriously,
which is sick.
We would take our anxiety more seriously than a cancer.
I know, and we did, and like I think that's like something that is my own personal stuff that I have to work on, because I was like, oh, this is so much drama for a little surgery, and did I ever even that's my own shit that I need to process. I think also like I've had a lot of health issues, so like cancer was like cool.
Also, if you think about it so seriously, cancer, it's too scary. It's like, actually, let's not do that. Let's make sure this is very surface and whatever.
And you know what it made me think too, though, is like I've never asked my husband about his experience. Because I always said to him, because that's where I'm looking at it, like as a partner's point of view, like I always said, in all of these things that I have had to go through, I'm so much happier that it's me over him, because I wouldn't be cool knowing that he was going in for cancer surgery. I wouldn't be cool having to go to some of the procedures he's had to watch me go through. And so I think that's where I'm looking at it from, like, sympathy for Madison is like, as her husband and her partner, her life partner. I think it drums up more feelings of like helplessness. That I think is what we were seeing. And it's like, it's the first scare where you're like, we've only been married for this long and we were going to have babies, and the C word can be scary. Even, like, Anywho, how should we make a joke to transition this?
I don't know, but I did love her son saying, "Yes, ma'am." When he said, "Yes, ma'am," I was like, Madison, you're great. You're killing it at all.
Why is he the cutest little thing?
He is adorable. He's so polite. So
well behaved.
Yeah, really polite.
When she came on as Austin's girlfriend, what a bad rep she got, but really it was him. And she's come out, like, if they were holding let's say they were holding oranges, whatever they do.
Every season,
she really is. She would have that center orange.
Maybe her and Craig probably together holding it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see where we at. Oh, so we have dinner at Patricia's. Craig tells everyone what JT said with maybe some embellishment. I don't know. Craig. I mean, Shep was like, even
I don't remember.
I don't remember that being said.
No.
But then Craig was on Watch What Happens Live, like doubling down, saying like, that happened. I don't know where the footage is. Like, and even in the episode, it's like,
no actual footage found.
Yeah.
The funniest thing was that on Watch What Happens Live, Craig says, I never lied on TV. And then they went and were like, there was literally a montage in that episode. Do you know that there was a montage? He's like, I haven't watched the episode yet. And it's like a montage of the last 10 years of him lying about like how he became a lawyer. And
in Craig's head, he doesn't lie, he embellishes.
Or he just might think that it's true.
Yeah, I think in his
saying
embellishment, to him, it's like the truth.
Yeah, I mean, he said that JT called Patricia a bitch, which
I don't think.
No, not at all. I also don't.
I think
it's crazy.
He may have said she was bitchy about it, or like, I don't know that.
I don't even know. I feel like Southern guys wouldn't, I don't know.
Totally. Like, even though,
even though he's a wackadoo, I still don't see him saying this about Patricia.
I agree.
It seemed like he learned his lesson.
Craig, we'll get into that maybe.
Yeah, I'm really, really liking Molly a lot.
Love. Absolutely.
She just is so natural fit.
She seems like I could, like, Madison and I would never be friends. Like,
yeah.
Molly and I'm like, I feel like we could totally
have a beer. And how uncomfortable she was there made me think that.
Whitney's comment. Why is there not being talked about more?
That's what I was just going to say. Oh, really? Why is there not backlash for these things? Why are men still allowed to say these things about women? We got a comment on one of our YouTube videos the other week that we were man-hating feminists.
I was such a treat. I love this for us.
I know. And I wrote something back and I was like, 100%, you got us right. But this isn't even about being a feminist. How about we just how about you don't comment about a woman's body? How about you don't comment about what a woman's eating? I don't care if you're in the South, if you're in the North, if you're in the East, the West.
Or your gender, frankly.
Exactly. Let's just stop.
Yeah.
It's 2024. About to be 2025. I think
we're man haters. I think we're like
realists. And
also like the men that we hate on are quite deserving. We're not just like out here hating all the men.
Right. I have one in my house all the time.
All the time. Yeah, you got tapped on the shoulder and it made your night. Like we're not, you know,
no
by any means, but I will take the feminist. I thought that was so sweet. So
me too. And I was like, oh, you got
I texted one of my friends and I was like, oh my God, look at like we got this comment. She's like, oh my God, congrats. So I was like,
yeah. Shout out user 14573.
Sounds like a bot.
Shady B. Anyhow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, what else? Did you see Craig on Watch What Happens Live?
Only the snippets.
Okay. He was asked about
Paige.
Kyle.
Oh.
Stop asking these people this fucking question. I actually was thinking about this from so like Craig and Paige, like they're always asked about the engagement, married, plans. Everyone, shut up. Who cares what their plan is? It's none of our business.
Yeah.
But I was like thinking about it, and as someone who is truly just making up the rules for Kyle, like my relationship as we go, it really like there's something so liberating about it where, you know, Kyle and I we decided to get married, and then we were like, okay, we'll do something small. And as soon as that even small thing started to happen, we were both like, fuck this. No one's invited. And then we booked an appointment, was sitting on the couch, baked one night, like booked an appointment for the license, told no one about it. My mom I told her the day I was going, my mom called me and was like, are you married? I was like, we're really just
literally same. I'm like,
we're really
hello.
Just, like, going to the beat of our own drum. Like, and we just don't care. And it feels, and I would imagine that they feel it as well. There's something that is feeling really special between Kyle and I right now.
Yeah.
Where we have this little
like secret.
And it truly is just ours.
You guys. Yeah. Yeah.
And for only us to decide, and no one can influence it.
So I can't tell everyone your wedding date then.
No. And even that wedding date it was like we walked out of City Hall for the license and they were like, okay, you have 90 days. And we checked the calendar and it was like, there are 5 days available.
I have to tell you, this is real life reaction that I was so afraid that you were getting married on that day. So I texted 2 of our friends for your address to send you something. And then they back around. Neither of them knew your address. So then they snuck around the back door to try to get your address.
Oh my God, is this why you texted Corey and I was like, first of all, how do you not have my address? You're here all the time.
Because that's what she said. She's like, I'm never there. But I was like, what the fuck do you mean? You don't have her address. You like live there.
Yeah.
It was really funny. Anyhow, keep marching to the beat of your own drum. And Craig and Paige, to your point, like they like, this is society putting these pressures on us. Totally. We are men hating feminists and we do march to the beat of our own drum. And this is just like nobody, it's so different too. I don't know if it's like this. I think because we live in big cities, or maybe not, but like I see so many people doing their own thing here. The traditional weddings and spending all your money on one day, it's just, I don't see that. You don't see that a ton anymore.
I mean,
you
actually be
do,
really
but
curious to see if the wedding industry has seen any kind of decline.
I wonder since COVID.
Yeah.
I
did
mean,
want to
yes,
say
but
though, before I forget, so in Watch What Happens Live, Craig is asked about the Kyle Cook of it all. And
because of him partnering with another
well, he was just asked about, because Kyle Cook had been asked about, like, say nice things about Craig's work at or whatever business acumen, and Kyle didn't really. He was like, I think the good thing I can say is that he's got a good team working for him, or that he has people to like. It was a shady.
It was
that he is a
comment. Team. That he is a team, and Kyle does it all on his own.
And so then Craig was asked about it, and Andy was like, "How'd that make you feel?" He's like, "Well, it always like hurts to hear it. Like we talked about this like during the summer." And so then Andy ends up asking him about like something about Kyle's business. And he was like, I think he really, really grinds. In so many words, I think what Craig was trying to say is he should be working smarter, not harder. Like Kyle's always grinding, but is unwilling to get a team together and is continuing to do it out of the apartment. Whereas Craig was like, yeah, I'm going to trust people who know what they're doing. Partners, and we're gonna go big. And you look at Sewing Down South compared to Loverboy, and you can't even compare the two.
I wonder if we could see differences in sales there, like what that would look like.
You mean if
because there's such Loverboy different industries.
I still think they are different industries, and Craig's products are just. There's not as much red tape because obviously alcohol, it's like different for each state and all of that. But I do think continuing to want so much, like, I don't know. It just feels like Kyle wears himself so thin that he doesn't have the time to even like let other people help him grow it. I just
don't fuck with Kyle Cook.
Same.
I love this comment. Like, I just, to me, he is the likes of some of the other Bravo lebs that like, the way that he treats women and treats people around him. I just think he's one scandal away.
I agree. I commented on something about,
I saw that
in reference to Kyle, and I just basically said like, Kyle is so lucky that we do have the Jaxes and the Sandovals, because if we didn't have the Jax and the Sandovals,
we'd be paying too much attention to him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the way how he treats his wife and other women.
And like, frankly, he's lucky that he had a Carl by his side for all this time, because Carl was such a mess and now that Carl's sober, I'm curious to see how this season goes. I'm not feeling good about Kyle right now, and I don't see it getting better.
No, and I never have. And I talk about the rewatch of the season with Hannah Berner during COVID, because in the narration of that season, and we are really going on a tangent, but in the narration of that season, they really tried to play that Hannah was this person that she wasn't.
Yeah.
And even the way Amanda acted, who I love, was just so off-putting and out of character.
Now, but you didn't always.
No, I didn't, because I didn't like how she was treating her. And if you go back and watch that season with fresh eyes, it's such a gang up on Hannah, and the way that Kyle talks to Hannah, it's just so disrespectful and so out of line. Anyway, I could go on about this for hours. We got to talk about Beverly Hills before our time is up, because I don't know if we're going to get to Salt Lake City or RHONY.
I was going to say, we could probably go at least like 5 minutes over the hour.
Okay.
Right? Is that fine?
Yeah.
I think that's fine. Okay, so Dorit is not giving any fucks. We open with the continuation of her and Kyle have that conversation at dinner. It seems like they are getting somewhere, and that they've got sort of started to get somewhere by the end, but I don't think they're anywhere now, because based on recent press and your interviews, it doesn't seem like things are all great. But
do you know what really I wrote this in my notes because I thought it was really interesting, and I know Kathy talked about it the next day, but I just thought it was really interesting that Kathy didn't say a single word the entire time that conversation was going in. Like, Garcelle piped up a little, Erica defended herself, and not that anything was being said about Kathy, but that's her sister.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Garcelle piping in, I was, I love Garcelle, but was not loving this at all. You're not part of this conversation.
No.
Like, she's just not part of this conversation. And on top of that, I don't think she realizes that her words against Dorit just don't hold weight in the same way, because we know she doesn't like Dorit for their own reason, and that's fine. Yeah. But it's like hearing from someone who you're friends with that they have an issue with you is different than hits so much harder than if like someone who doesn't like you says something. You're like, of course. This
who cares?
Absolutely nothing to me.
I thought it was interesting what Bo said in her confessional, because that's what, to me, it really came down to. She said they aren't being direct about what they're mad at or what the layers are. Dorit and Kyle, it seems like they're just like talking in like, oh, you were mad about, I'm mad. Kyle kept saying like, I'm mad about a bunch of stuff. And Dorit's like, you're mad about BravoCon. And I can't imagine that Kyle is just mad about BravoCon. I think Kyle's mad because of the text, and because the text was posted and her cover was pulled down. Dorit talks about how Kyle ices people out. And I think we see that Kyle just doesn't like confrontation, and we see it in her conversation with Mo last week, and we've seen it for years that she'll just pull away instead of bringing having the conversation out loud. That it's so interesting when then they get onto the boat and have this little bit of resolve, and they both come to the terms that like, our husbands are closer than they've ever been, and we're here fighting while we're going through something where we could be supportive.
What did you think? And I was really happy to see that. What did you make of Garcelle's reaction to Kyle saying PK text her? Because
I thought it was so dramatic. And I think they're going to make this into some big thing that it's not.
Okay. Because I too thought it was dramatic, and I thought maybe I was missing something. I was like, is there a Bravo and Cocktails blind that I missed or something? Well, like, what am I supposed to be reading between the lines, and I'm not reading between the lines?
I think that's what Garcelle was trying to, she was trying to imply something by her reaction.
I was very confused.
But also, if these are close friends, I think there was more to that conversation. PK texts me for check-ins. Like, what is he? He's not sending you dick pics.
Yeah. And Kyle had already said to Mo in that earlier conversation, like, we've always like exchanged like memes or whatever. And like, we all have those people you exchange memes with, Kyle's the king of it.
Yeah, I know. That's how I keep in touch with him. But I think you're Kyle, to be specific.
Yeah.
But I felt like then we see a preview for next week, and Garcelle's telling other people that PK texts her, and this is going to be really blown out of proportion and turned into a story that it's not. And this is just going to further the divide between Dorit and Kyle. And seeing that moment on the boat with them, you remember that they were good friends, and you're hoping that they can get back to it.
What did you think about the Teddy of it all? Like, Garcelle bringing up, so Garcelle brings up, whoever didn't watch it, they're at the dinner, and there's been resolve at this point. This is after the boat. And so it was extra annoying because we had resolve, like we're moving forward. And now it just feels like we're going right backwards. They're at dinner, and Garcelle is like, I have a question for you, Dorit, in the sake of being honest or whatever. And
I hate that shit.
And asks why she reposted something with Teddy, and I felt that everyone was reading way too far into it. Like, she opened her app, she had a thing, she reposted it, as most people do. It's like getting, like, on someone's birthday or something. Like, everyone's just reposting it. And the other thing is like, I think that you can be like, and Dorit said, we're friends, but we're not like, we're not. I think that was Dorit's point. It's like, I don't think she's texting Teddy on the side like often. I think maybe every once in a while, like, hey, just to check in, how you doing? But I don't think they're caught up on even a week.
But this is the thing. Garcelle has it out for Dorit and is trying to catch Dorit in some sort of like web of lies that she thinks. And it's weird because we have to know that was like a production thing, or I have to tell myself that because Garcelle, why?
And like Garcelle bringing it up at that time post RHOBH was already just, I did not like it all. But then everyone else was so quick to jump on board with it. And that's what I was really kind of more turned off by. I was like, oh, we're really looking that far into this? Like, can you be friends with someone and not be besties?
Because it also, like, to me, Teddy is probably a friend of Kyle's that Dorit is friendly with.
100. And then they were on a show together.
Right. Like it doesn't have to be. Yeah, that was weird. And I'm not even a Dorit apologist, but
Teddy Mellencamp probably could use Dorit's help. Just to be clear about that.
I actually thought that was funny. Yeah. My favorite thing that happened this episode was Sutton giving the boat captain her phone number. But you want to know what that's not getting a lot of conversation is how Dorit and Sutton had that really nice conversation about going through divorces and what it looks like and how you can change. And Garcelle and Kyle had that really nice conversation. Garcelle opening up about where she's at in her life and she doesn't know what it's going to look like. And Kyle saying that she's anxious about being alone. Like, these are real conversations for these women. And these are the things too, I think viewers want to see. Yeah. Is these real relatable conversations that aren't compared to the next two shows that we watch, fighting over what bedroom you got. Like, seeing these deep connections with the women, I really enjoy seeing, or trying to form that.
Wrote that, I think, in my notes, like, for all the divorce we've had on all of these franchises, it feels disproportionate with how many deep conversations we're getting about divorce. And it was really nice to see those conversations between women about divorce on this episode. I thought, those were the best scenes of the episode, frankly.
For sure. And we won't hear about them because they're not scandalous, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho.
All right. Well, Salt Lake City real quick.
Salt Lake City real quick. And what else do we have? God, I want to talk about RHONY more than what happened in Salt Lake City. Nothing happened.
Nothing, except I do gotta say the Marks family, that opening scene, and they're like it was like having like 6 Kourtney Kardashians in the same room having a conversation.
My note said the vocal fry was irritating the hell out of me.
You hate a vocal fry too, don't you?
I hate.
It was just so like, I was like, wow, we have no range of emotion here. This is just okay.
There is a lot I want to say about Salt Lake. I feel like we could probably hold it to next week because this whole thing, and it basically went from one housewife show picking rooms and people being butthurt about that to another show about people being butthurt about picking rooms. I wrote more women fighting about rooms in their luxury villas.
Yeah, I know. So,
and Ubah trying to play cool. So they go to Puerto Rico. They're trying to play cool. Ubah's like, I'm going to go eat and I don't care what room that I get as long as I'm here with all of you beautiful women, until she gets the smallest room.
Her whiplash, it scared me.
She seems like she needs to be medicated.
Something is going on. And I was wondering, okay, does she, one, like being in the zeitgeist that in the way that Bravo allows, but hates filming and actually having her shit put out there?
Interesting.
Yeah. Or is there some sort of like culture or not language because she can speak, like there seems like there's a culture disconnect where she takes things very literal, where I would say for the most part, like
no, but that
New
could
Yorkers
be
are not, you know, like, I mean, I would say Americans, but I would say even more so, like, New Yorkers can say things flippantly that are
all the time
dark and or not even, they don't even have
I
to
mean,
be
we
dark,
talk
but they're
about
just like
sarcasm is our
love
love
language.
language,
Yes.
literally. No, but like that's true. Like as a
And so
Philadelphian, you need to be, that's such a good point.
I'm wondering if there's some sort of disconnect that's happening with that, where she hears something and then she holds it and she internalizes it and keeps it and holds on to it for them. And then when something triggers for that to bubble back up in her, she lashes out.
Yeah. Because she doesn't know what to do with it. That's actually
Yeah.
interesting because even when I'm just thinking what you said culturally or language, because English isn't her first language. And it is interesting. I've read a lot about this because my husband's first language is not English. And we've had a lot of conversations about him making friends in the US versus him having friends at home, that he's more comfortable with his friends at home. Because to your point, there's none of the guessing, or even like, I don't know how you feel, but even someone who lives in a different city than where I'm from, if I meet someone from Philadelphia, we talked about it earlier, you immediately feel like you're speaking you're speaking the same language. And that's interesting that maybe her interpretation of folks, it was hard for me to see her and Aaron fighting like that. They seem like they have a real friendship.
And I think they have come to a place because they were both on Jeff Lewis together and it seemed, you know, totally fine. I don't mind Erin in the way that everyone else seems to not like her. And I think this episode specifically highlighted that for me.
It's actually funny you say that because I wrote in my notes that out of all of these women, she seems the most normal. And probably a little misunderstood. And I could see why
go ahead.
I could see why she doesn't come off as, I could see why not everyone likes her, but I'm starting to like her more because it's almost like she's the voice of reason. I might regret saying that.
No, I think that's true. And I think what's also happening is, okay, so this was a really good indication of what I'm about, is like kind of where my train of thought is. She said there's at that table when Aaron or Brynn ran back up to tell Aaron, Ubah is whatever talking about you. I hated that. But anyway, so Aaron comes back down and she's explaining to them, there is a difference between being in on a prank versus knowing the prank.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, that's what's happening here. Like Brynn has twisted this story
again.
She took knowing about the prank. She put her own spin on it, I think truly without Aaron knowing that she was doing that. So like now Brynn's putting now Brynn in her mind, because she's putting a spin on that prank, is part of the prank, and is now telling the rest of the girls that that's what happened. Meanwhile, yes, Aaron, and then people are confronting Aaron like, Brynn knew, and Aaron's like, yeah, Brynn knew. Like,
well, this is what's going to happen.
No, there was like it's like there's a big missing piece that only Brynn knows about.
And Brynn, it's so clear, the leaky pigeon, if we're using this terminology, is I hate it.
Did you see that? You can't.
Yeah.
It was like perfect. It was like right out of a movie.
Oh yeah. I've been practicing. I've been practicing my whole life. But Brynn, the way that she tells stories, I mean, we had the perfect version of this, how she ran back and said, they're talking shit on you, and then comes back to the table and says, I didn't say they were talking shit. Mm-hmm. Girl, reverse the tape. Yes, that's exactly what you said. Brynn's going to come out. Brynn's going to come out as the villain this season. And I think Aaron will get the redemption that she deserves, because Brynn, you're messy, boo. And we're trying.
I think moving forward, Erin's going to have to really, I think all of these women are going to have to take whatever Brynn says with a real grain of salt, which is really bad for Brynn long term, because if no one is trusting everything she says as she's trying to like stir the pot and produce a show, it's not going to work. She's not going to even have a spot on the show anymore. And I think this thing with Rebecca towards the end, like I understand, like I don't understand. I'm not a mother and I'm not someone who wants to be a mother. And I found it was really shady when at first when it happened, when Rebecca made that comment about like, you'll understand when you're a mom, I was like, I don't know that she intended it to be as nasty as it came up. But then when she was questioned about it later, I didn't like that at all. Yeah. With that said, I don't think having Russian billionaires call you in the middle of the night and having a puppy really compared to having 4 kids crawl all over you. Like, I do think there's a difference. And like, frankly, it's one of the reasons I don't want to be a mother.
Exactly.
Like, I don't want to give up my...
Brynn, say what you really feel then. Say, hey, Rebecca, that comment hurt my feelings. Like, say what you really want to say instead of throwing in Russian billionaires about it and all of these things. But to Rebecca's point, which I never thought I would be on her side, Rebecca said, Brynn can dish it and she can't take it. Like, she wants to come for me. She's also... From
day one.
Right. For no reason. No reason.
Bravo and Cocktails, I was listening to the most recent episode and they didn't give a reason, but B was saying she wonders if something has happened like in the past. Like she's like, Brynn was always in like marketing for big brands. Could there have been some sort of dispute years ago?
They would have talked about that, or this would have came out.
It made me think like, what is Brynn's problem with her?
Well, part of me is like, is she jealous of her, what she has? That's the only thing.
But
like,
they all have a lot.
Yeah. I mean,
like,
Brynn doesn't have what Rebecca has. Yeah, I don't know. You know, I didn't like it. It's making me, and I really, really liked Brynn, and I'm really trying to hold on to that. But after this episode, and even with Rebecca's comment that was nasty to her, that I felt bad for Brynn on, she still didn't redeem herself for me. She's just.
I don't know. I just don't think the way that Brynn was like, I understand everything about like.
There's no way. Literally, you just.
I think
say less.
I'm hoping that when she becomes a mother, she can be like, look back and think that was, I didn't know about
ridiculous.
This. I don't think you know about being a parent until you're a parent. It seems like the hardest thing
job ever
in the world. Like,
which is exactly. And how could you ever pretend that you have a freaking clue what it's like? I was sitting there complaining about my day.
20 minutes with a kid before I'm like, oh my God, can someone get me a glass of wine?
I was complaining to my friend who is not a mother the other day. And when I talk to my friends who have kids, I'm like, you all need an admin for each of your children, plus yourself. Like, I would never pretend to know that I know what that's like. And anyway, I think
it seems like the hardest job in the world.
And which is why both of you and I are sometimes.
Yes. Yeah, I guess it's not guaranteed either.
It's not guaranteed. Again, another reason why. Anywho, we still need to we'll dive in. We'll start with Salt Lake next week. We have a lot going on. And do you know January 2nd, Southern Hospitality is back? Like, how are we going to fit in all these shows? I just don't know.
Oh man, I don't know. They're doing these outlines is stressful.
So we'll be back next week.
Will be over soon though. I think.
Oh, okay, good.
Don't they end with the trip in Puerto Rico?
Oh, great.
I think that's where like the big blowout happens, and then they don't see each other again until they yes, and then they're having these like gnarly so
okay. So things are going to be happening. We'll be back next week with an all new episode. We're taking the week off after that just for the holidays. We'll be back next week. Like and subscribe on Apple Podcast and Spotify. If we were in your Spotify Wrapped, share and tag us on Instagram. We'd love to see it. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Bonded by Bravo Pod. Leave us a review and all that fun stuff. And we'll be back next week with an all new episode, friends.